Catch it early. Help us teach kids about cancer symptoms through Ultimate Frisbee clinics. Join us and speak up.
Applying pressure, but the shot to Beuttenmüller looked like that was the game plan. So effective.
I think with any zone defense like that, the Canadians were getting the pressure they wanted. And you don't want to be in the back of your own end zone as we're coming out of the timeout. But it was just a mistake by Martin in the spacing, and that's not a bad early mistake to make.
First throw, Kobel's bid comes up shy. As a coach, when you call a timeout and the first throw is a turnover, how do you feel?
Not great, like I should have just let them play beforehand. But that's the trouble. That's a high risk of difficulty throw. It's normally better to just get a completion under, even if it's not going to gain you very much.
Sliding catch from Powell. There's Andrew Carroll to Lloyd. Carroll back to Lloyd. They're just playing catch, gaining yards downfield. Vasiliev gets involved. Lloyd continues the weaving handler cut. Hibbert with a nice job clearing after Nico Mueller had him covered, and Lloyd turns it over. Pretty good matchup defense here from Germany. Nico Mueller, Germany wants to have the disc in his hand. Impressive bid from Powell. I couldn't tell, even from here, if he got a finger on it. He certainly got in the lane and impacted it. Give him credit for the dig. This is a defensive point for Canada and a timeout called by Vasiliev. 5-3 the score first half. Team Canada actually playing on the adjacent field as well in the women's division, trying to complete the semifinals. On one side you'll have Japan versus Colombia, and on the other side USA advancing past Switzerland 15-4. Looks like Canada and Russia are in a tight one over on the adjacent field. So it is a pleasure to bring you live coverage of the World Flying Disc Federation's World Ultimate Championships here in London. This is not exactly what we had in mind for quarterfinal Thursday, but we are making the best of it. And while we understand it is not ideal for many of the spectators here in the United Kingdom, hopefully this gives a slight window into what is happening here at the Watford Football Club training ground. Just got a score update from next door. The Canadian women leading Russia 14-8. Team Canada's women's team would be going head-to-head with the USA in the women's semifinal if that were to stand.
Earlier, just kind of going back over the couple of turnovers we've seen at this point, Germany on the timeout, they had an opportunity to hit the around, but the cut could have come backfield. There was space to do that. You don't need to make it such a risky around. The around is always available. It's just a matter of how many yards you're going to gain on it. And Lloyd trying to go get a little bit greedy, going for the really skinny break. Not much space over the stack.
Lloyd takes the swing from Vasiliev to Hibbert. Lloyd's first look is almost always downfield. He's got the rifle to launch, but this is a small ball point. Another break for the Canadians. It's Lloyd to Hibbert. Two of the greats in Canada's ultimate history connect. 6-3, doubling up the Germans here in the first half.
not a good use of the zone by the Germans. Canadians were able to run right through it with a couple of middle of the field passes, and that's got to be the primary stopping point of the zone. You have to be able to stop the middle of the field. If you can't, it makes it too easy. As you said, you mentioned Mark Lloyd looking downfield with a rifle, but really these were soft tosses, playing a little bit of slow pitch through the zone, able to work it through and get another break for the Canadians.
A delightful point for a coach watching on the sidelines, appreciating the patience and the precision. Mark Lloyd with the assist. Despite the distractions, your father is really enjoying watching this at 7 a.m. in the Bay Area, so the show must go on. Mark Lloyd giving us a bit of a word from the pitch as he walked toward the Canadian bench. This is why you work on the mental game, I suppose, to deal with the incredible wit and wisdom of Brian Jones in your ear on the sidelines. So Germany in a pivotal situation here. Yes, it is early, but it feels like a must score here. Don't want to fall behind 7-3 with the way Canada has looked so far.
Hold back, Freddie, hold back!
Big bid. Henry couldn't get there, and I believe that's Haas who is a little shaken up.
That's a tough bid. Trevor Henry coming in, trying to make a play, and this is the type of bid that is never intentional. But from there, as we can see from the angle, Henry comes in, gets the body, and then as a result rolls up Haas with his legs, and that's where you start to see high ankle sprains and some other injuries come up, and that's tough.
Where is the line in your mind between, oh, that's part of the game, it's unfortunate, but it happens, to that was a slightly dirty play?
I think it's a matter of where the contact happens, and I think a backpack looks bad in some ways, but normally that's not going to result in injury, whereas a wrap-up, a roll-up is going to cause some injuries, and you want to not hit the receiver low.
Coble replacing Haas.
Kurzerstin! It's still there, Adrian. It's still there, Adrian.
Hochhalter on the mark of Mueller.
Still there, Adrian. Backfield,
Canada really forcing the Howe could not get the D.
Come on, work, Adrian. You're good, Adrian. I know, Adrian.
Hartman
I'm fine. Go, Fred.
He's in power position, but he did not have an open man going deep.
First side.
Young. Hartman. Quick shot. Mueller to Young. And a stoppage downfield. Germany with pretty good spacing here in the red zone, would you say?
They're doing a great job so far of being patient, and when they can do that, it's been some of the deep shots where the pressure has come and they've had limited windows to make the play. When they do keep their spacing, it just makes offense a whole lot easier.
Violation was called. Movement before the play was initiated. Young with possession. Got it around the mark of Ellis. To the end zone, that will work. Nico Mueller displaying great confidence as a handler for Germany, quarterbacking the offense down the field. An essential hold for Germany at 6'4".
An essential hold is right coming down for the offense. You can't let this game get away from you any more than it has. It's hard in this point because Canada is bringing the great amount of intensity. Germany responds well after the injury to Haas on the sideline. He's getting checked out. We'll give you an update on whether or not he's able to come back in.
Just not upfield.
Good for Germany, though, is they're able to get on the board and get their defense on the field rather than just deal with a series of breaks that the Canadians have kind of extended this lead with earlier.
And then as soon as that happens,
So Canada will bring the offense back onto the field. This game was tied 3-3, then the Canadians scored 3 in a row with back-to-back breaks. Yearwood and Hibbert converting, both from the throws of Lloyd. So the offensive line for Canada, Masick, Kelly, Lindquist, Loiseau, Galitz, Sang, McKnight, and Harris. No Kevin Underhill this point. Oh no. See what the pull play looks like. Cuts into both lanes, and now Loiseau is in the middle of the field. Certainly a junky look from Germany, disrupting the Canada effort. Harris finds the lane to Loiseau, and now Lindquist. Loiseau. Sang. Good discipline there from Galitz, waiting on the far side of the field. The defense kind of forgot about him, and he was wide open for the big swing. And back to Sang, showing a similar discipline. Harris, Masick, Kelly, right in front of us. Aggressive marks, all counted 8 as Masick, Kelly releases for Sang. Plenty of time for Loiseau to make the leaping grab. Canada trying to stay turnover free on this point. And a stoppage downfield will allow us a breather.
Good use of the Poachy defense. Looked like a clam to start out with, almost morphing into, like you said, the Poachy zone. Stops the pull play look for Canada and puts them at half field with this and tight defense.
McKnight. Galitz. Sneaks it to Lindquist. About 20 yards from the end zone, looking for Harris. He has plenty of time. Was there a pick? Apparently not. He was very wide open. You maybe thought he had used an illegal method to get so free, but Canada scores without a turnover to lead 7-4, 1 away from taking half here in London.
Canada doing a great job of dissecting the defense, remaining patient. A good defensive possession from the Germans. They're able to get some pressure, get some opportunities. One right in front of us, we saw Masick, Kelly have to turn and snag it away as the defender came close. And some high stall situations, but overall, Canada has the patience to be able to work it through.
Well, there are certainly points in a game and certainly during a week where your defense can play almost flawlessly and just be beaten by better offense. And when the defense leaves the field, it's important to encourage the effort. But it's harder to do that when you're trailing by a few breaks in such an important elimination game.
Can't let the sense of urgency cloud your judgment of playing hero defense, and they say that by laying out. You still have to stick to the game plan, know what you do well, ratchet up maybe a few concrete adjustments, but keep plugging away. At some point when you're too desperate, you can be trying too hard. Haas returning to the game.
It's good news for Germany. Big pull from Lloyd. Germany Yearwood on the mark.
Hey Martinez, I got you.
Forcing a high scuba. This is not a true matchup look here from Canada. They are switching a lot in the backfield. Vasiliev poaching into the lane. Jonathan Martin, the deep for Canada. Morgan Hibbert coming to the short deep, and now it's Gärtner up the sideline, back to Reinhardt. Marco Mueller. Backhand force called by Hibbert. Again matched up with Beuttenmüller. Marco Mueller to Philip Haas, absorbing the bump from Powell. Cross field, that's still up. Beuttenmüller breaks the mark, but he could not keep it in bounds.
That's it, Marco. That's it, Dark. What?
And perhaps Beuttenmüller had a foul on
didn't look like there was much physicality. It's possible Hibbert maybe got him on the wrist, but the good thing here is you'll see the game advisors come in and take a look.
I haven't seen many of those. I was trying to kick the disc forward.
We do not have the luxury of microphones on the shirts of the game advisors, and it's an uncontested foul. So Beuttenmüller talked Hibbert into it, it appears.
You're going to attempt such a crazy aggressive throw, like pretty much going to take it at any time.
(7-4) Germany trails Canada. Marco Müller, marked by Yearwood. Over the poaching defender Martin. Nico Müller to the open side. And he was in, wasn't he? Yep. Holger Beuttenmüller with a score makes it 7-5. German patience, the characterization of that point.
Patience is correct, but a bad defensive play here by the Canadians, who you could hear it from our vantage point. The force changed, or it was not heard in the middle of the point, and so some players were forcing forehand, some forcing backhand, leading up to some break throws. And it's so impossible to play defense when you can really only take away a quarter of the field, and you have to combine that with your mark to make sure that you're taking away the right positioning.
So Canada back on offense, trying to take half. Germany will receive to start the second half. Canada held on a McKnight to Masek-Kelly completion to begin the game. Got plenty of tweets from around the world, including here in London. The Ireland men's team apparently tuning in at their accommodations. Still quarterfinal Thursday here in London, but it's on the verge of being semi-final Friday in Tasmania, Australia, where we have a viewer. Visiting this past September during an Asian journey. So Canada with an offensive line of Isaiah Masek-Kelly, Kevin Underhill, Cameron Harris, Thompson McKnight, Karl Loiseau, Andre Galitz, and Jeff Lindquist. Germany defensively will look for what would be its first break of the half. The Canadian offense, despite some turnovers being forced, have not been broken yet. Germany has had a couple chances, but unable to convert those important breaks. Well, compared to what some of the weather conditions have been like this weekend, right now is actually very pleasant here at the complex. Overcast. Slight breeze, but no precipitation. Foul called on the mark, no contest.
Sammy 1 gegen 1, du weißt es, gell? Niemand hat nicht rausgegeben.
Hard running!
Harris with possession after the foul. Thought about the deep shot to Lindquist, instead to McKnight and Masek-Kelly. Harris is going deep. No throwing lane for Masek-Kelly. Too far for McKnight, and it's intercepted. So an opening here for Germany. Nico Müller. Underneath. It is the youngest Beuttenmüller, Samuel. Sang on the mark.
Tim, my boy,
Cam, get active. Izzy, Cam, get active. Reset.
Haas.
this side.
It's the easy under. Nico Mueller.
Yeah, great mark, Kev.
Haas takes the easy swing. Jung marked by Galitz.
Stay with it.
A bid from Sang and a foul called, and there's no contest from Sang, who got the arm of Beuttenmüller despite the fine effort.
Little flatter, little flatter.
Haas beats McKnight to the spot. A big backhand bluff, and now the shorter throw right back to Haas on the brink of a break.
All the way back, all the way back.
Reset. Big swing from Jung. Christoph Kobel. Mueller to the end zone. Off the hands. Almost a second chance, but it's Harris that saves the day for Canada. Smacking it down, and oh goodness, what a missed opportunity there for Germany. The disc in the hands of the intended target. Just a little too much pepper, as Tom Stiles might say.
Still got to make that catch. It came in hot, but you have to make plays like that under pressure.
And the Canadians give it away again. An errant toss in the way of Masik Kelly. Looking for Kobel. Does he have the room? He does. Christoph Kobel with the goal for Germany. The first break of the game gets Germany back within one.
A couple of hanging passes on that possession for Canada, just leaving it out there for the D to go grab it. Not sure what was going on or what the vision was between the handlers and the cutters, but a little bit of a lack of chemistry here in this group that's kind of consisting of players from different areas within Canada. We'll see how the Canadians can rebound here on the following possession, but critical break there and big confidence boost for Team Germany.
So the very important 14th point of this first half about to come. Canada leads 7-6.
But also you were initially
Canada
moving away, and that's how we got it. So just make sure you're
still up a break. But if Germany were to score here, we would be back on serve, and Germany will receive to start the second half. They are here in London, but the South African men's team is tuned in from their accommodations. Fun team to watch here at the fields this week.
Toronto-based O-line out in the field, the only non-member of a Toronto team, and he has played there in the past, is Tim Sang, played there as a 18, 17-year-old for Toronto Go. But other than that, typical Go O-line.
Along with Sang, it's Hirst, McKnight, Loiseau, Lloyd, Masik Kelly, and Ochterlony. Ochterlony and Loiseau both have played in Toronto, also now playing in Ottawa. Masik Kelly barely snuck that flick past the layout bid of the mark. Lloyd was unmarked and thought about a deep shot. Hirst has shown so much poise for the youngster. Sang calm with the disc as well, resets for Lloyd. It has heated up a few degrees here in these past couple of minutes. The humidity as well rising as these fields drain and evaporate. Not as quickly as Whiff-Diff would like, but that is nature. Lloyd to Masik Kelly. Was he in? Yes. Canada takes half 8-6. Germany will receive in half number 2. Canada is up a break. Germany will need to break twice to win. So that is it for the first half. Masik Kelly from Lloyd, a 3-assist first half from Mark Lloyd. Not wearing his customary number 89 because Underhill took that shirt. So Lloyd in the 38 jersey with 3 first half assists as Canada leads Germany 8-6 at halftime.
7-minute half.
Ja, spiele doch auch nur 15 Leute dabei.
We welcome you back to London for live streaming coverage of the World Ultimate and Guts Championships. Brian Jones and Evan Lepler field level as Germany trails Canada 8-6 at the half. The Germans set to receive. What, in your mind, Brian, was the difference in that first half? Both teams had some inconsistent play with the disc.
I thought there was a point there where the Canadian defense really ramped up and gave themselves a lot of opportunities. They made a couple of mistakes on offense, one where the Germans were able to capitalize on, but the Canadian defense really set the bar for what it's going to be for the rest of this game. And it's up to the German offense to play tight, be able to play underneath the pressure, and deliver the disc if they're going to have a chance in this game.
David Hochhalter, the spirit captain for Canada, is having a conversation with Tobias Kusik at halftime, just checking in about how they felt the game was going, expressing their confidence in one another and sharing the truth. Martin on the mark. Here's Marco Müller with Powell nearby. Müller and Müller, they're unrelated. Marco, with the stall count rising, gets the reset to Haas. Hand blocked by Lloyd, and Canada will take over.
He's a special player, and he makes those types of plays that you don't see from anyone else. We almost saw him kind of regain that 2014 form to end with a victory against Japan. He got the game's final block, but unfortunately went up in the air right into the Japanese receiver's hands in the end. Here he gets one right in Philip Haas.
Morgan Hibbert could not come up with the catch. He has called a foul on Beuttenmüller. It was very close.
I know, but it's still like, you know, if you hit my hand, it still affects me trying to catch it. Even if I still almost catch it. You just do go. I agree. No, anyway, next time. In my Holger. It just sets up everyone else.
It is an amicable discussion between Hibbert and Beuttenmüller. Hibbert is the one who called a foul. Looks like the disc is going to be sent back. A contested foul. So Hochhalter retakes possession. Rising throw, Vasiliev tracks it down. Carroll, he was in. A break to begin the second half for Canada. It's 9-6. Canada 6 away from a semifinal spot here at the World Championships.
Andrew Carroll is a speed demon and normally used on D. He can guard cutters, he can guard handlers, and then off of the turn, you're going to have your hands full of a guy that really has great quickness and great top-end speed. Pretty easy. Vasiliev was looking hammer, and then Carroll wide open enough for Vasiliev to take the time to switch to the backhand grip and go for the score.
So the Germans do need to be careful here, because Canada could get on a little bit of a roll, and the hill could be too steep to climb for Germany. Canada coming from the pre-quarters after taking down the Czech Republic. Germany winning their power pool to ensure a quarterfinal position, lost their quarterfinal power pool championship crossover to GB. Looking long. Can Beuttenmüller get there? He cannot. Brian, your impressions on the Great Britain men and how they have looked on their home pitches this week. Do you see them as a true contender to the Japanese in the United States?
I think Great Britain has the athletic playmakers to contend, but it's a matter of, do they have the defensive pressure and ability to go ahead and force the Japanese into turnovers? It's really hard to do that against them. They play a very distinct style, and that's going to be the difference in that game. Here for the Germans, they've had some issues here going forward. They're moving just a little bit too hash. It's the old, little too fast. The old adage, move quick, but don't hurry.
And there are probably some folks from Belgium saying, don't forget about us, because the Belgians are getting ready to face the Japanese. Great Britain also will see the field later today against Australia, and the Australians are very capable. USA versus Colombia is the fourth men's quarter. This is the first. Canada and Germany. We have already seen the women's quarterfinals come and go. It'll be USA and Canada on one side, Japan and Colombia on the other. Remy Ojo looks, and the pass was complete, but it's coming back. A pick was called in the center of the stack. Brian, any early thoughts on the women's semifinals, USA, Canada, Japan, Colombia?
I think for Colombia it's going to be tough because the Japanese as a country universally run a lot of unorthodox offenses. Going up, Germany gets the grab. They're going the other way. That's Holger Beuttenmüller comes down with it.
As they call him in America, perhaps. Müller shoots it. It has the right angle. Germany has its first goal of the second half. That was a beautiful throw. Right when it was released, you could see it would be perfect. The only question was, would it be caught? And Germany gave us a positive affirmation on that front.
Just a turn in momentum here in the second half. Like we said, it was in danger here of the Canadians going on a run, of putting up a couple breaks, and great for the momentum here in the mental state. And the Canadians a little frustrated, trying to figure out what's going on. We just saw an exchange on the sideline of some tempers flaring, trying to figure out what to do here on defense. They had their opportunity close to the end zone. That pick call took back what would have been an easy score. And going the other way, Germany kind of get back in flow and employing the fast break.
Well, the Canadians are certainly a fiery team. We'll see if they can bounce back here. The offensive line of McKnight, Hirst, Sang, Masick Kelly, Harris, Galitz, and Lindquist. Not as towering of a Canadian offense as perhaps they've had at points in the past during the Hassel era. Lugsden certainly more of a defender, but Canadian quickness and creativity, strong traits of this group. Low throw, Masick Kelly gets low. The biggest fella for Canada on the field went down for it and then launches. Harris makes the incredible catch and hits Tim Sang for the score. Cam Harris made the play of the point on the slight overthrow from Masick Kelly, and the Canadians lead at 10-7.
From back in the end zone, Masick Kelly winds up the pendulum and then lets it rip loose. And then from there, it's Cam Harris. And you ask, a lot of the Toronto Goat guys who might be the most talented member of their team, a lot of them will come back and just simply say Cam Harris. He's got the skill set, he's got the length to get the job done, whether it be throwing the hucks from obscure angles or ripping down the play we just saw.
Some of the top players in Toronto have long said, we enjoy the fact that no one really thinks of Cam Harris as one of the best players in the world because we know he is. Harris went go-go gadget arms on that disc to make the play. It's 10-7 now. Germany back on offense. If you are wondering why I am sharing the Canadian starting line much more often than the German starting line, there's a couple of factors. Slightly more familiar with the Canadian team, but also they have numbers on the front of their jerseys. Can tell this is Holger Beuttenmüller breaking away from Morgan Hibbert. And one quick toss to Marcel Hartmann for the easy hold. It's 10-8. Germany could use a couple more offensive points like that.
Pretty easy off of the back of the stack. It looked like a Moses play, which also can be known as a zipper. You have the two back of the stack cutters. One goes left, one goes right, and then one goes deep. And after that, Beuttenmüller puts on the jets. And it's a tough position to be in as a defender. If you don't read the play coming early, it's almost always going to result in the goal if the throw is there.
So Beuttenmüller went deep and then hit Hartmann for the goal. That was the combination that collected Germany's first goal of the game. It's the second goal for Hartmann. Beuttenmüller in the 19 shirt with 2 assists and 1 goal in the game. Mark Lloyd with 3 assists in the first half for Canada. Cam Harris also having a solid performance with a couple assists and a score. So it's 10-8. Germany hanging around just close enough to make Canada a little nervous. Rumi Tejpar gets a chance on offense, as does Loiseau, Sang, Underhill, McKnight, Masekeli, and Galitz. And a little windmill-esque cut there, McKnight and Galitz circling each other. Masekeli underneath. Juggled and caught by McKnight. Sneaks it past the layout poach. Underhill lets it fly over the defender. Cusick into the grasp of Loiseau. A dime from Underhill. Pretty.
Blown coverage by the German defenders, leaving Loiseau wide open, and after that it's Underhill. He's able to put it deep, no problem. He has that throw in his arsenal, and you give him that much separation, it's going to look that easy there for the Canadians as they extend their lead. And really in the driver's seat here going forward, the Canadians have kind of been their own worst enemy moving forward. It's going to be hard for the pressure here to come from the German defense and mount the chances as we go forward in this game.
That easy goal brings the Canadians within 4 of a semifinal berth. And while it won't necessarily be a significant advantage, they will be the first team into the semifinals. They will have the luxury of watching the next game and seeing their opponent if they are allowed at the fields. Perhaps they will not be because of not only the issue of fairness, but more so the issue of there have not been spectators permitted unless they've been warming up. Right now behind us, the Belgians and the Japanese are getting loose. That's on the other side of the bracket, though. That's the GB Australia side. And a lot of people looking forward to that Great Britain-Australia game. Both teams very athletic. Do you think the Australians have what it takes to knock off GB from an athleticism and depth standpoint?
They have the athletes. It's just a question of do they have the execution. Historically, their first game plan has been to throw it deep. GB will compete with them and make them do option B.
And GB has the answers, perhaps, for some of those deep shots. The Justin Ford-led club against Mike Neald's Dingoes. Not sure when that game time is, but whenever it happens, I'm excited to see it. Now Mueller to the open side. Reinhardt beats Powell. And another open side cut. Not much space in that front corner of the end zone, but it was caught. The 24 shirt for Germany, Marcel Hartmann, with another goal, his third of the game. He has 3 of the German 9. And they're back within 2. Mark Lloyd of Team Canada asking everyone on his team, in the words of the immortal David Cassidy, get happy.
It's a great job to step up as a leader in this situation. There's a lot of frustration from Canada. I think for them, they often seem to look as the counterpart to the U.S. and they expect to be able to make a pass. And sometimes those expectations can really weigh on you as the Germans are going to call a timeout or rethink things. And this is a good timeout by the Germans because not been able to get that pressure. They're going to have to make some adjustments moving forward or start stacking their lines, as this is for it all. This is elimination time here in the quarterfinals of Worlds.
Mark Lloyd, the leader of this Canadian team. Now he's, seriously, he's leading the team in song right now. Mark started singing and everyone started singing. You can hear quite a few fun tunes around the fields. I'm not sure anyone's better than the Colombian women. Whether they score or whether they get scored on, they are singing after every point, and they have quite a repertoire. It is not just the same tune over and over again, which can get quite stale over the course of a week-long tournament. For Canada, it is often a collection of Sports Center themes or hockey celebration music. There are several former hockey players and some current hockey players on this Canadian roster.
The warm-up jerseys for each Canadian player actually come with their own hockey player on it, so I saw different numbers being worn by some of the players, and I was thinking that's abnormal. And then I realized Loiseau was actually wearing Mario Lemieux's number 66 in the warm-up. Saw Paul Coffey out there and numerous others as well.
Brian is the hockey czar between the two of us, but I did see on Twitter the Canadian Ultimate delegation receiving best wishes from, I believe, Steven Stamkos, Canadian-born hockey player who was out throwing the disc and wished the Canadians luck. It's always cool to see the intersection of Ultimate and some other mainstream sports. Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver Antonio Brown, a dynamic athlete on the American football field, has been spotted playing Ultimate from time to time. And occasionally, during my time in the world of baseball, you would see pitchers throwing a disc in the outfield before a game. That happens still sometimes, although often unreported in the major leagues. Thompson McKnight with his team up 11-9 after a timeout. Harris. He needs to get rid of it. And he does. McKnight. Ochterlony was wide open. Ochterlony threw it high. A leaping catch, though. Saves the day. Underhill. Underneath. Singh had it knocked away. Incredible bid from Christoph Kobel for Team Germany. A potentially game-changing layup bid. If the Germans can capitalize offensively. Haas, low release backhand for Kobel. Played a season in the United States with Boston Ironside as coach that season. Josh McCarthy is looking along from the sidelines here in London. Germany's defense moving backwards, and Brian to my right says the stack is set up too deep. Low throw, you could see that coming. Loiseau easily spiked it downward. What did you see there from the German offense? As Loiseau punches it in, Canada converts. It's a hold, but a missed opportunity there. What did Germany do wrong after forcing the turnover?
After some good defensive pressure by the Canadians, they were able to push the Germans back, but the stack never moved, and you saw several players hang out deep, and you can see the exhaustion after that point. They were unable to chase the Canadians after the ensuing turnover. Loiseau comes up through the middle of the stack, gets the block, and then off to the races. Nobody even moves. so exhausted, couldn't keep the cuts coming, couldn't move the stack. Tough time for the Germans.
(12-9) Canada. One other interesting subplot, certainly not overshadowing the competition here at Worlds in London, but qualification for the World Games in 2017 in Wrocław, Poland, in the sport of ultimate is largely decided by the performances of the countries in the men's, women's, and mixed division in this tournament. So Canada, a mainstay in the World Games competition. 6 countries in past World Games have been included. The 6 that were in Colombia in 2013, Canada, the United States, Colombia, Great Britain, Japan, and Australia. And Germany is one of those countries, Brian, that has sort of knocked on the door of being in that Elite 6. This is the type of game where it could determine for a 4-year segment where they stand in the international hierarchy. A 3-goal deficit at the moment. Mueller lets it fly. Can Sinclair catch up to Gärtner? He cannot. It's Jonas Gärtner for the Germans. Makes it 12-10. Bit of a defensive breakdown there, and Marco Mueller put it with enough float and out there far enough to give his teammate a chance to run it down. Gärtner with the score.
It's one of those things where, as a coach, if you're the Canadians, you don't want to let the Germans back in the game, and Gärtner had other ideas, burning Sinclair deep. And after that, it was just a matter of putting the throw in the right space. It's hard because Gärtner was already pretty deep, so you can't just float that one out to space and have Gärtner run it down. You have to kind of get it there with the right amount of float, right amount of speed, so that defense can't close too quickly. They were able to do that, and when you come down to the end of this game, it's 12-10. Germany still within striking distance. A couple of blocks, a couple of mistakes here can make all the difference in the world.
Yes, indeed, we have seen comebacks throughout the week. We have seen upsets as well. This German team had a significant lead over the Irish. I believe it was 12-6. Germany led Ireland, and then the Irish scored 4 straight to all of a sudden make it 12-10. They traded the rest of the way. Germany winning 15-12. That was back in pool play. Now in bracket play. Elimination time. Low throw dug out by Underhill. Loser of this game will still have games to play, but they will not have nearly the meaning that the winner will experience. The top 4 versus the 5 through 8 positions. Hirst in the red zone for Canada. To Underhill. Swings at McKnight. Further. Sang. Lefty to Hirst. Textbook end zone offense there. Swinging the disc. Canada punches it in. Back up by 3.
Tim Sang and Nathan Hirst make quite the duo on the end line. Both are incredibly quick and tough to guard. And we saw the effects earlier in the possession that Galitz has had throughout the game. He scored a couple of deep goals early, and as a result, getting the respect of the German defense, he's able to turn that into a 25-yard under, which is kind of the next step in a young cutter's game. We often see guys like Massatelli, and for years he was a deep cutter, then after that developed this ability to turn those into 20 to 30-yard chunks and get the defense out of position.
You know, Brian, if I had asked you a year ago, who will be the O-line mainstays for Team Canada a year from now at the World Ultimate and Guts Championships, I'm not sure you would have named Nathan Hirst or Tim Sang. And here we are, and these 2 young kids have really grown into their roles, looking very comfortable, not flustered at all by the moment in this quarterfinal elimination game. 13-10 is the score. There are dark and ominous clouds overhead, but no precipitation at the moment. Nico Mueller with the disc. Gärtner. Waldvogel. Marco Mueller. Carroll on the mark. And an injury, perhaps, either a pick or an injury, certainly a stoppage in the middle of the field. I think everyone's okay. I believe that is Marcel Hartmann, who got tangled up with Yearwood and Hochhalter. Downfield here, Brian, be watching the Holger, Beuttenmüller, Morgan Hibbert matchup.
Two physical defenders now matched up here with Mueller on the offense. Trying to dig it out here for the Germans, and kind of the old school here. Hibbert, been one of the premier deep men, such great length.
Their battle throughout the game has been a bit of a mini-series. Hartmann resets. This is Reinhardt underneath. Hartmann going deep. Oh, Canada did not drop off, but the swing was the look. Beuttenmüller was looking dump, now looks back upfield and left enough float on it. Reinhardt launches the hammer. It was a beauty. The Reinhardt connection. Germany has shown some guile with their over-the-top throws, confidently placed. 13-11, caught by Hartmann for the score.
Intense pressure by the Canadian defense, and early on the Germans were just weathering the storm. Maybe the storm that we're about to weather here that could change the game. Saw some great dump defense. Yearwood in the back slot, forcing to go to option B after the swing around. The defense broke down. They found some space. And then that's a tough throw to make going deep. It's one of the only options you have with the force being flick. There's no room at that point to put the flick into this position to where it's not going to float. You know, the defense is coming to play. That has to be a hammer.
Well, we have weathered quite a few storms already this week here in London, and we are capable of dealing with the elements, but the issue for these two teams, only one of them will have a chance to competitively weather the storms in pursuit of another championship at the world level this week. The winner of Canada-Germany takes on the winner of US and Colombia. Just tap back in by Loiseau. Canada by 2. Hirst. A little bit of a different defensive look here from Germany. What are you seeing, Brian?
A lot of zone and trying to take away the backfield in certain positions, not just a pure trap to the sideline, forcing riskier throws from the Canadians.
Hirst with a nice riser. McKnight downfield for a change. Kelly had Hirst up the line, centered it to Sang. Loiseau to McKnight. The German defense trying to come up with a crucial stop. McKnight almost had it knocked away by Beuttenmüller.
Hit him! Yeah!
Over the top, Harris. Canada is one score away. 14-11.
A lot of smart poaches by the Germans, but it's all for naught as Canada's able to navigate it. They almost used Hirst's quickness against himself as he was trying to utilize the dump swing and put things wide, but good switches, put some pressure in at the end of it. It's just a matter of Thomas McKnight putting up the alley-oop for Cam Harris, and I think you have a couple of options. You put up Kelly, up to Mark Lloyd, but having the length of Cam Harris to dunk it into the end zone is good to have.
Timeout called by Germany. It has been a fairly spirited game, free of controversy. The Canadians have just been a little bit crisper, especially in the first half, where they put together back-to-back breaks. We were even 3-all, and then Canada with 2 breaks to take a 6-3 lead, along with the offensive hold in that 3-0 sequence. Germany got a break back to make it 7-6, but then Kelly from Lloyd took half at 8-6, and well, it has been basically even in the second half after the Canadian break to begin things. Germany received the opening pull in half number 2. Canada scored to make it 9-6. And we have been trading ever since. Canada content to trade right now. Germany knows that it needs an epic rally. A hold and 3 breaks would win the game for Germany. That is a titanic task.
It does when you look at it that way, and that's the trouble here with athletes, is you want to just be able to do your job, do it one thing at a time, and the first thing they can only do right now is hold. The offense needs to come out there, do their job, and not worry about what the score is. And from a coaching perspective, and you know, from a media perspective, you have the narratives kind of clash, because you're telling your team one thing, and on the other hand, anybody viewing this game realizes it is going to be a tall task to go ahead and score 3 in a row against the Canadians.
Canada's defensive line has Lloyd on the pull. Out there with Henry, Carroll, Vasiliev, Martin, Powell, and Hibbert. Beuttenmüller going long, angling back. Beuttenmüller bids and scores. Well, there's the one hold for Germany, and it only took one gigantic throw.
I heard some voices coming in from behind us from the Canadians, and it was Mark Lloyd, I believe, coming in, and expecting the ISO to Beuttenmüller going deep. It was the same play we saw earlier. One goes left, one goes right, and one goes deep, and after that, it was just a beautiful throw, hanging just enough. The cut coming through in the end, keeping Germany alive. And this is a tough situation to be in, because defensively, that's your last chance of the game. And so now the pressure's on. It's one of those things in Ultimate where, as a defender, you could put it all out on the line there and you're done playing. It's nervousness now for those Canadian defenders as they get to just sit and watch and hope that their offense can get the job done.
Well, there are certainly a member or 2 or 3 or 4 of that defensive line that could enter in a situation. And interestingly, a star in the realm of Isaiah Kelly is coming to the sideline here. He's going to rest up this point. If Canada is broken, he would surely be back on the field, and I imagine Mark Lloyd would return as well. Canada has done a nice job counting on its top players, but also mixing in its depth. Not just throughout the weekend, but in this game. Underhill with McKnight, Sang, Loiseau, Lindquist, Harris, and Galitz downfield. There's Harris. Lindquist is going. Harris is launching. This could send Canada to the semifinals. Lindquist holds it in. Team Canada 15-12 over Germany.
It's been a while since I've seen Cam Harris just take control of a game, but he did here in the late stages. Incredible throw that had to be at least 80 yards going to the end zone and just launching a backhand. Lindquist had the separation. I don't think the German defense saw it coming, and that's a way for Lindquist to run away with the victory.
So Team Canada is on to the semifinals. They will face the survivor of the United States and Colombia. Perhaps we can try to get a quick conversation with a member of the Canadian team. Canada 15-12 will linger for a moment as we try to have a conversation about the meaning of this game for this Canadian team, as they are the first men's team to qualify for the Final Four here in London. Here comes number 89, wearing number 38. He's got 38 in his shirt too. Mark Loiseau, congratulations on being the first men's team here in London to qualify for the semifinals. You are in the Final Four. What was the key to this game for you guys?
We sort of knew that the looks that they wanted to get, and they actually got them towards the end of the game, hucking to Holger. So we wanted to try to take that away as much as possible. There's really strong throwers, and we just wanted to make them throw as many passes as possible. D-line did a pretty good job getting the breaks, and then offense just, when they battled hard when they turned it over. The last point we turned it over, we saw that our team was just, I think, hungrier and wanted the disc more. Once they turned it over, we had 3 guys right in the end zone, and they were standing still. So that's important for us to just want it.
What has been the battle cry for this team here in London this week? What has been the uniting force that is pushing you guys toward Saturday at Allianz Park?
You know, we have a couple of different things. We're very loose group off the field. Lots of joking. We play a lot of cards in between rounds or at the the dorms. So we're just kind of keeping it loose and having fun and enjoying being here. It's an amazing experience to get to come to such a great facility and play against great teams like Germany, and we're really grateful for that opportunity.
Brian and I mentioned during the broadcast that a year ago, if you were to think about who would be starring on the offensive line for Team Canada, you wouldn't have thought Tim Sang or Nathan Hirst would be on the top line for you guys in clutch moments, but those guys seem to be playing impervious to the magnitude of the moment and really delivering for you guys. How have they grown into those roles?
Yeah, Tim, this is actually the first time we've had Tim. We didn't have him in Colombia. He had work stuff, so he's been finding his role throughout the games, and he creates a lot of space for himself. He's really shifty, and he works so well. And then every night we talk about positive things, and I feel like every night I'm talking about Nathan Hirst. You saw him yesterday. I think he won the matchup with Matsuno. I mean, you might claim different, other people, but I thought he won that matchup. And then today you see him just being a force on offense. And so when you have a guy, the youngest guy in our team, doing that, then that's incredible.
USA or Colombia in the semifinals? Your thoughts?
Doesn't matter. We're just gonna play our game. I'm gonna like Bill Belichick you here or something to say we're just worried about cooling down and getting ready for tomorrow.
It was a slightly more verbose answer than Belichick would have been, but you are impervious to the question, and that is fine. Mark Lloyd, congrats on the win. We'll see you tomorrow in the semifinals.
Thanks a lot.
Mark Lloyd of Team Canada joining us here on Field 5, the makeshift show pitch for Thursday's quarterfinal action here in London. Belgium and Japan are on the way. I believe Sir Tom Stiles will take over the microphone for that one. So we thank you for being with us wherever you are watching this around the world. For Brian Jones and our entire crew in the mist here in London, Evan Lepler saying so long for now. Congrats to Canada. They are in the Final Four at the World Ultimate and Guts Championships in London. So long, everybody.
Catch it early. Help us teach kids about cancer symptoms through Ultimate Frisbee clinics. Join us and speak up.